That was a Glide Ensemble, everybody. Under the direction of Zoe Ellis, please give them a round of applause for welcoming you today. It is so good to see y'all in the house today. Good morning. Now, what we're not gonna do, no. So when we say good morning around here, like it really has to go to work, this good morning. Because we want to make sure that somebody who is outside, that you might have stepped around, waiting in line for food or encamped on the side of the building, somebody has not heard anyone greet them today. Someone has not heard an invitation to come into beloved community. Someone has not had their humanity acknowledged. And I know it seems like a small thing, but good morning, when said from this beloved community that goes out through the windows and through the doors of this space, will reach somebody, and they will hear and feel this extravagant welcome that we're laying out. So that's how big your good morning is. So no pressure, but good morning. Good morning. Oh, there you go. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here today. For those of you who are new here, my name is Marvin K. White. I am the Minister of Celebration here at Glide Memorial Church. And if you are a member, welcome home to this Sunday celebration. This is the first Sunday of May, and it is the month that we are celebrating Mother's Day, AAPI Heritage Month, and yes, Teacher Appreciation Week and Month and Day. Yes, please give it up for teachers. All this month, we will be weaving poetry and story and song and sermon and witness and prayer, all in service of lifting all of us up. And yes, today is a very special celebration of teachers called Blessing in the Storm, a celebration of strength and resilience through teaching and learning. It's going to be a great Sunday for you all with some very special guests in the house. Allison Park, educator and founder of Blink Consulting, is one of our guest speakers today. And also, what a great privilege and honor to have California State Superintendent Tony Thurmond in the house today as well. You know, here at Glide, this conversation is really important because the core curriculum at Glide is unconditional love. The core curriculum is equal access to spirit, racial and social justice work in the world. The core curriculum says that raising our stories to gospel is a tool for liberation. The core curriculum at Glide says that arts and education through song and through poetry and through storytelling, through self-affirmation and truth-telling is how we're going to get free. The core curriculum is that for power to be with the people, everyone must come into voice, or no one comes into voice. And that's all of us, black and white, straight and gay, young and old, rich and poor, in and out of recovery, red and blue states, warrior and Laker, documented and those forced to prove their existence, believer in spirituality or believer in the human spirit. I did sports, just so you heard that. The core curriculum at Glide is that we are a writer's church. And we believe in all of our stories being heard and read as sacred. We believe all our stories should one day be taught, and none of our stories should be banned. It is our hope every Sunday as we pass out free journals and pen that you will begin telling your story in this celebration today. So raise your hand if you'd like one of our free journals and our free pens, and we're going to give you some writer's prompts that will help you begin to write your story. And, you know, writing in a sanctuary really says that your story is sacred. And I don't know if anybody else is going to tell you that today, but just by you starting your story in a journal, your story is sacred. So please raise your hand if you'd like a free journal, and we're going to give you a prompt, which is just a place to start. Sometimes it's hard to face a blank piece of paper. So today's prompt is, what does teaching social justice demand of me? In this idea that we're all teachers and all students, what does teaching social justice demand of you? Let's see where the author of that, Valerie Carr, will lead you. Amen? Now, does everyone have a journal who wants one? Because we have a very special thing happening. Our 1,000th journal is among the ones that have just been passed out. And if you have it, you will get a very special gift package today as we celebrate having passed out 1,000 journals. So your journal that is so special, the Golden Journal, has 3 images, one on the outside cover, inside cover, and back cover. It's the Reverend Cecil William, Janice Mirkatani, and myself. Who has the Golden Journal? Me? There we go. Congratulations. What is your name? Nulan? Welcome, and come by the church office after celebration. We'll have a big swag bag for you. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, writing is everything for us here. But let's go into prayer right now. And we love this moment in our celebration that we can bring our hearts together. We can get out of our heads. We can experience and feel one another. We can bring our best wishes forward for one another. If you're online, you can leave a prayer in the chat, or you can email them to us, or you can use our online prayer submission form, or you can use our old school prayer care phone line where you can just leave a message for a prayer and we will pray over them all. If you're here in person, we have prayer baskets on either side of the stage, but we also have the QR code on the screen behind us. From the comfort of your seat, just aim your camera at the QR code and that will take you to our virtual prayer basket where you can leave a prayer. And we don't ask that you understand or hold prayer like we hold prayer, but we just ask that you let us do what we do on your behalf. If you need someone just to call your name this week in a non-transactional way, they just want to call your name in the ways that you need it called, in love and in light and in service of this vision that you have for yourself. That's all we want to do, is just be in agreement with the thing that you want for yourself. If you need a prayer specifically, though, for your family, your friends, your house, your block, your neighborhood, your city, the state, this country, this world, the students in this country, in this state, and in this world, the teachers in this country, in this state, in this world, all of it we will pray for. We have a dedicated group of folks who meet on Wednesday night called our prayer circle, and they pray over all of the prayers that come in from all of the sources. If you ask me for a prayer this week, I hold you in my heart and place you in this prayer basket. I'm going to read a prayer lifted from Zora Neale Hurston's book. It's actually a banned book called Their Eyes Were Watching God. It's one of my favorite books, How I Knew I Wanted to Be a Writer. And it's one of my favorite prayers because it tells us that nature is one of the greatest teachers. And the natural order, which is actually disorder, is the teacher. And it shows that if you listen, even the flora and the fauna can teach you something about how to fall and how to get up and move forward. So Janie waited a bloom time and a green time and an orange time. But when the pollen again gilded the sun and sifted down on the world, she began to stand around the gate and expect things. What things? She didn't exactly know. Her breath was gusty and short. She knew things that nobody had ever told her. For instance, the words of the trees and the wind. She often spoke to the falling seeds and said, "I hope you fall on soft ground," because she heard the seeds saying that to each other as they passed. She knew the world was a stallion rolling in the blue pasture of ether. She knew that God tore down the old world every evening and built a new one by sunup. It was wonderful to see it take form with the sun and emerge from the gray dust in its making. The familiar people and things had failed her, so she hung over the gate and looked up the roads towards way off. She knew now that marriage did not make love. Janie's first dream was dead, so she became a woman. Meet us at the gate, O God, today. And then as we contemplate walking into our future, accompany us, sojourn with us, and journey with us. Teach us through the first teachers of nature and allow us to remember the lessons and the blessing in all of this new growth. Tear down the world, God, and recreate it to be a world where teachers and students are valued and fully supported. Free the books from the racist, homophobic, and misogynist and denying gatekeepers. Bring them back to students. Give students more roadmaps and ways of being through books than unsparked imaginations. Free the minds of students and teachers so that learning is not just for learning's sake, but is a justice work. And we hold today, oh God, that education is radical inclusivity, is open and affirming, is extravagantly welcoming, is a racial and social justice work in the world. Let our education system point us to liberation and not to lack. Bless the millions of students more than they bless us. Keep our teachers, students, staff, and families safe from violence, and mostly keep them loved. If you are in agreement with this prayer, we ask that you say amen, hallelujah, right on, shalom, salam, namaste, and ashe. And now, if you could, please get on your feet and join your voice to ours for our community song.
I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom.
The Glide Ensemble, everybody. And now, while you're on your feet, does everyone here know each other? Okay, let's change that. I want you to turn to at least 5, 10, 15 people that you don't know and say hi to them and greet them. This is our community embrace. So say hi to somebody, y'all.
goodness, that's the Change Band under the direction of Joel Behrman. Let's go.
So before the Glide Ensemble brings you this first tune, I wanted to talk a little bit about today's special celebration. You may or may not know that this week coming up is Teacher Appreciation Week. Give it up. And we have many educators here in this space, and I just had this vision of celebrating teachers in this space. It's been a long time since the pandemic that we had classrooms and teachers coming here to learn social justice and humanity here at Glide. And I said, it's time for us to welcome you back to do that work with us. And I told Minister Marvin, and he was like, go for it. And then I said, Classy, let's do this. So Classy Martin also partnered with me, and she works in public school education here in the city. So as we were thinking about this and thinking about everything that we've been through, we know that not just classroom teachers are educators, but also you as parents, if you had children during the pandemic, took on that role as well. And I thought, we've come through this storm, and now we're time to get our blessings. So I turn it over to Zoe Ellis, Glide Ensemble, and the Change Band. Thank you, Glide Ensemble and Change Band. Now, I don't know if you've been here before, but Glide is a church where we can get up and we can move and we can celebrate. This is a celebration. All right. So I would like to introduce our guest speaker for today. Her name is Allison Park, and she is the founder of Blink Strategic Consulting. And she is an experienced educator with 12 years of experience teaching, advising, and coaching students in grades 7 through 12. Now, as the founder of Blink Strategic Consulting, Allison has 19 years of experience working with schools and other organizations at all levels of institution and community to realize their responsibilities and aspirations for diversity, equity, and inclusion. She has worked in public, private, alternative, and community-based nonprofit education and served on the boards of Mosaic Project as an advisor, Park Day School, and the SMART. Allison earned her BA in African Studies at Yale University and both of her EDMs at Harvard Graduate School of Education. In addition to providing professional growth experiences, including my own, Allison seeks out her ongoing education through collegial networks, conferences, and her work. A Bay Area resident for the last 25 years, Allison originally hails from a suburb of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and is an avid trail runner, reader, and occasional fly fisher woman. And for any of those of you who have participated with racial justice, a lot of what we bring to that space has Allison's imprint on it. So I welcome you to the stage, Allison Park.
I love that there's a tambourine, and thank you again, and thank you again. Thank you all for being here. It's so amazing. I think we all know the routine. Good morning. Good morning. Yes. May I ask, who's a teacher? Keep your hand up. Yeah, because I know that's going on back there too. Yes, and keep your hand up. Add to that, if you've ever taught anyone else anything. Yes? Okay, so how to tie your shoelaces, potentially how to swim, yes? How to take the bus. Folks, this week is a week of appreciation, acknowledging that teaching is a profession. Yes? One that we often underestimate for what it takes and what goes into it. Teaching is also a practice, and always a practice of values, regardless of whatever you're explicitly teaching. Yeah? And teaching is a capacity that we all have and are exercising to some degree. So I want to acknowledge, first of all, the entirety. We are all up in this. We need to be appreciating ourselves. That's right. And we're also going to talk about the profession of teaching. Can we hold the all of it, the yes and? Awesome. So I want to thank LB, who is with me in this. Thank you for your help doing this today. And LB, if we can go to the next slide, thank you. Very simply, folks, regardless of if you intend it or not, teaching is an act of social justice. It is the audacity, it is the commitment to sharing power and empowering others to potentially overthrow us. Do you know what I'm saying? Our ways of being that are not entirely inclusive and realizing of the full humanity of the world in front of us. Teaching is about distributing knowledge. And by the way, the skills and the capacity to do what with that knowledge? Not just turn it forward for the next generation, but to activate it to possibilities that we may not even realize when we're just teaching how to add. To change the world and to change and challenge us. So regardless of whether you think you are teaching social justice or not, you're practicing it. Can we just all agree to that? Yes. And then, thank you, LB, I'm going to say then there is teaching social justice explicitly. Okay? So this is the conscious decision to get all up in the issues of safety, dignity, belonging, and thriving, not just issues, but the rights of all people too, and what gets in the way of that. And currently, but not novelly, we need to acknowledge that this teaching is happening in a climate and a movement that's taking a stand against social emotional intelligence. Just the recognition of heart, and you are a person and I am a person. This work is taking place while people are objecting to the facts of identity and diversity and the aspirations to equity, inclusion, and justice. This work is taking place in the context of an objection to both CRTs. One is culturally responsive teaching, which is a teacher's acknowledgement that their students are not them, and that education has not proven to date the ability to reliably guarantee that students across all identities, abilities, and statuses will have an experience that sees them and in which they will thrive. Do you get what I'm saying? We are seeing the patterns of inequality in a profession that loves kids and adults. So first of all, culturally responsive teaching acknowledges that we need to look at our pedagogy in order to deliver on our promise. It is meeting every student and supporting their thriving. The other CRT is critical race theory. I'm gonna append to that critical race facts. Just the basic teaching of information. A teacher in Iowa had to query the Department of Education to just ask, to be clear, can I not say that slavery was wrong? And it was an awkward response that demonstrated an awareness that that was not the right response, which is essentially, no, you can't. So we're at a moment where we're challenging even facts, and folks, this isn't just theoretical, it's not just conceptual. We are talking about a time when people's identities are being objected to, when the stance is against queer identity, when the stance is anti-Black, when the stance is I'm gonna make an assumption about the hijab, when the stance is against our very students and our teachers. Yes? So this is the canvas on which teaching social justice is happening, and thank you, LB, for the next slide. And then, folks, let's be very clear against this canvas. You don't even have to be teaching about social justice to be presumed that social justice is your personal agenda. And what I mean by this is if you are seen by others, you don't even have to identify yourself as a teacher of color. If you are identified as non-binary, if you are identified as queer, if you appear to be someone who might be experiencing systemic injustice right now, it is presumed that that is the only reason you are here, to indoctrinate the children. Meanwhile, by the way, there are a whole bunch of people who aren't even being seen doing the work. I mentioned earlier this morning that I believe the largest group of teachers in the United States teaching about the Holocaust right now, white, female, culturally, if not religiously Christian teachers. Now, by the way, there's a lot going on in education that gets us to that point, including, quite honestly, the consequences of Brown v. Board of Education, which is very good and actually got a whole bunch of Black educators fired. And what I want to say about teaching the Holocaust is, like, first of all, facts that we all need to reckon with. And this group of teachers who are the majority in teaching about the Holocaust are at least free from the accusation that this is a personal agenda. Do you see what I'm saying? Just teaching facts becomes something that you're trying to force on people. You've got to stand outside it. So I just want to acknowledge that in teaching and in teaching social justice, we do not all stand in the same place. And so this appreciation that we're feeling, this appreciation needs to recognize the positionality from which our educators are teaching, and we're going to have to talk about the context. And if I may, LB, anytime, if we can move to, my invitation to everyone is, let us not actually acclaim our teachers as saints and angels. I am not saying they're not awesome and don't appreciate them. I do want us to take a moment to challenge this identity and what it means to see our educators as saints and angels. Yes? First of all, the issue is nouning them. When I believe the call this morning is not, can you just call yourself a witness? Do you have a badge that says you're a witness for the Lord? The question is, how are you currently acting as a witness? Does that make sense? This is ongoing. The work that Tony is engaged in today, last week, presumably, hopefully not for long. As Oakland's teachers and staff agitate for the schools to be safe, stable, and racially just, this is not a state at which the schools will arrive. This requires a commitment. How are we currently, right now, everyone in this room, acting as we strive for schools to be safe? What are we doing to ensure stability? And what is our contribution to racial justice, which is quite honestly ever evolving towards its fullness? The standard has been low historically for just enough. So I want us to, first of all, not just label our teachers, but also to ask this question: what are we saying when we call them saints and angels? LB, thank you. We have a magical unicorn approach to teachers, which is gratitude for your innate sparkliness in all that you do, which recognizes that they're amazing, and by the way, demands that teachers drain themselves absolutely from the bottom of their heart and give it all. There is an expression that I keep screwing up. It has to do with teachers being candles, and the thing about teachers is that they burn themselves down completely to provide others with light. What the? I mean, here's the messed up thing. If you had said that to me, like, welcome to the profession of teaching, Allison, burn yourself out, I would have been like, no. And yet, the messed up thing is I also bought into it. This idea of the all-consuming sacrifice. And there's an issue when we take teachers and lionize them as individuals, as if, number one, all your fuel comes from you, and you just be amazing, and that's what we're celebrating. That is, quite honestly, a white supremacist framework for appreciating teachers, in which we over-individualize, in which we personalize the gift of teachers, and we don't take a look at the system. So I want to invite us to think a little bit about the context, the system in which teachers are showing up and doing their work, which is always social justice and sometimes explicitly social justice. And I'm going to talk about two ideas that you might be familiar with. The model minority. Anyone ever heard that expression? And if not, it's okay, we're going to talk about it. And black girl magic. Yeah? And by the way, there's a nod around that. We don't know what we're talking about, but let's get into it. And what I want to introduce is, thank you, LB, the model minority is a stereotype appended to East and South Asian people in this country. That we, although minoritized in the United States, not accurately that we are a global minority, but in the United States as a minority, we do it all. We go to Yale, we go to Harvard. Like you heard my bio, I literally went to Yale and Harvard. Okay, and so we do this, and we're good, and we're doctors, and if we're not doctors, we're lawyers. Okay, and this idea that this is who we are innately, we have to understand what the model minority myth is actually about. And so thank you, LB. And I'm gonna come down and just read in case, the type is very small. This is like bad PowerPoint usage up here. This concept actually dates back to the very earliest immigration of Asian peoples to the United States. And yet, I'm going to read this quote from 1966, where a Professor Pedersen was talking specifically about the Japanese as a model of minorityhood in the United States, saying this is a minority that has risen above even prejudiced criticism. Listen to how Pedersen acknowledges that the criticism is prejudiced, is unfair, and is making a comparison, just so you know, to all other groups who have somehow not risen above their systemic oppression. by any criterion of good citizenship that we choose, that we choose, the Japanese Americans are better than any other group in our society, because it's a competition, including native-born whites. I don't even understand that phrase, native-born whites. Okay, there's a lot going on here. They have, the Japanese Americans, established this remarkable record, moreover, by their own almost totally unaided effort. This is good in the contract. We will not have to provide anything, despite every attempt to hamper their progress, resulting only in enhancing their determination to succeed. So I want to say this. If we're going to talk about a minority that is some kind of model, first of all, we need to just interrogate that whole concept. And we have to acknowledge not just what's happening, what's being accomplished and demonstrated, but we have to acknowledge the foundation, the system in which it's happening. Does that make sense? Because this isn't just like, way to go. This is despite everything. And that's a surprise. And so let's talk about black girl magic. LB, thank you. If we go by the most basic definition of black girl magic, beautiful, intelligent, strong, black, is everyone nodding? Female fulfilling her absolute greatness. Does that not feel like yes? And if you remove any markers of identity from this statement, gender, race, you can feel like, yes, this is the magic of humanity, right? Like we can just kind of generalize it. And once again, we have to understand when we talk about black girl magic, when we use the phrase lightly, what we're actually talking about. Thank you, LB. And this is from a journalist who identifies herself as a black woman. In a country determined to rest its back on her shoulders while calling her worthless. I see magic when I see a black woman. I do not see a superhuman, I see an architect. I know she's doing a lot of groundwork to be present, to walk that walk with swagger and self-determination. I know she is becoming more and more herself, building the truth in a world that lies to us about who we are. To be both black and woman is to wake up every day in your body where you are policed by your skin, by your gender, by your existence. We pay for it in pain. I see the extraordinary, that magic, in our mere presence, because even at our best, we are debased. Loving yourself is the protest. And I share that with you not speaking as or experiencing, but to hold up this phrase about magic and the need to contextualize that magic in the circumstance that demands it. That we cannot talk, thank you, LB, again, we cannot talk about models and saints, we can't talk about angels, magic, any of it, without acknowledging the system, the campaign, the culture in which, for teachers, we are appreciating them. And so if we can talk a little bit about that climate right now. Thank you, LB. And by the way, Minister Marvin, you said something about the educational system can point to liberation, and we hope liberation, not lack. Yeah, this stuff is not auto-set, auto-course. There are conditions pushing education in that tension. Will it be liberation or lack? Where will we live? And so I want to acknowledge that book bans aren't just popping up. Objections to the facts of gender and sexual orientation as aspects of identity aren't just like kind of organically sprouting. There's actually a campaign that is organizing parents and guardians on how to confront wokeness. And by the way, woke in the original African American vernacular English, yes, please. Aware of systemic discrimination, just yes. This idea that we're all going to police each other and I'm going to have my cape of wokeness flapping behind me as I point out what you're not saying right, no, thank you. I mean, I do this, right? It's just exhausting. So this is to say, in the great fear of wokeness, which is often not defined, there is a toolkit for parents, the appropriate way to bring to attention to the school something that you object to and to escalate it. And to get to the point where withholding any promise of money could be an effective tactic. This is an organized campaign to stop the work. Thank you, LB. This is continuing on Moms for Liberty. Organized information for families, and it's tiny font at the top. They want you to know which candidates to vote for. This is mobilization not just at the community level, organically in a school district. This is actually getting to state and national levels. And thank you again, LB. And much of the campaign against this work in schools invites you to submit maybe a legal issue that you'd like help defending or bringing to court. So when teachers are choosing or when they are impelled to teach about social justice, this is the campaign that's working against that work. Does that make sense? And thank you, LB. We have to acknowledge this campaign, and then, thank you again, LB, we need to respond with our campaign. But here's the thing, the campaign for safety, dignity, belonging, and thriving cannot fight on the terms that are being offered. And by the way, I don't mean an indictment of people. I mean there's a culture that says we're gonna go head to head and one of us is gonna win. It can't work that way. And I'm not saying we make room for homophobia or we just figure out how to work with a little racism. No, we've gotta figure out what's at stake for people. Why a child's identity is terrifying to them. And we have to figure out how to build communities together. Our work is much larger because it is ultimately work that cannot have exceptional inclusion. Yeah, right? And so thank you, LB. The question for all of us, and here I'm quoting Mia McKenzie, whom some of you may know from her Black Girl Dangerous blog. If you appreciate teachers, anyone? Yeah, I turn to you. If you appreciate teachers, this includes if you are a teacher appreciating yourself, how are you currently operating in solidarity? What are you actually doing to support teachers? And by the way, I think it's fantastic if there are muffins headed to the teacher break room on Monday. Yes, muffins definitely help. And I'm gonna ask you to think kind of like, what else? What's possible? Thank you, LB. What if you think of teachers as an intersectional and complicated group? This was my call to colleagues who are interested in acknowledging East, Southeast, and South Asian, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander people this month. It is if you care about us, how are you fighting transphobia? What are you doing about homelessness? How are you advocating for all genders affirming healthcare? Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's not just saying stop anti-Asian hate, yes, please. But in order to stand with, we have to recognize the full humanity of whom we're standing with. So I invite you to consider the complexity of the teachers you appreciate and what it means to appreciate them. Thank you, LB. And the question is always, what does this demand of me? If you are a teacher, it may demand more self-love. It may demand not accepting that system that says, we're so glad we have you and that you're doing this hard work, right? We may have to look at not just the teachers, systems change. It may, anyone else holding on to some nook of your privilege that you are not currently exercising toward justice? Is it just me? Ow! Right? What privilege do each of us have that we could harvest a little more deeply, not just as sacrifice for someone else or charity, but because that is liberation. Yeah. And thank you one last time, LB. I invite us to all, and Valerie Kaur is the creator of the Revolutionary Love movement. I invite us all to recognize that we are part of a campaign. We are part of a moving constellation of lights that requires each of us to shine in our specific slice of sky. All of us are not Tony Thurmond. You know what I'm saying? And Tony is doing his magnificent work. And if you are not a superintendent for the state of California, the question is, what is your arena of agency? I think I went too long. Thank you.
Not at all. You were
Allison, I was a terrible student, but if I had had more teachers like you who were that physical, and you were talking about the candle burning, and I felt prompted to tell you that anytime you come here, I'm just going to shine my phone light at you. You are such a bright light, friend.
Give it up again for Allison Park. We're going to turn this over to Zoe Ellis, the Glide Ensemble, and the Change Band. Tony. Is it Tony?
Song 2 and 3.
Song 2. Thank you, Dr. Amy. Let's go. You got it, Eddie.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Good to see you all. Here we go. Hey, God is love. He is love. He is love. God is love. Our God is love. He
That's Dr. Amy Gregory.
Can I acknowledge my Aunt Ruby, who is career elementary school teacher, who's watching online? And to all the teachers, and everybody who loves to bring enlightenment and beauty into the world. Thank you. Somehow I made it. Somehow I made it through it all. God brought me through. Somehow I made it. Somehow I made it through it all. God brought me through. Well, somehow I had ups and downs. I made it through it all. God brought me through. I had to stop sometimes and ask my God for direction. Fast and pray and thank God for protection. Through the storm and rain, heartaches and pain, I know I've done my best. I had to pass the test. Through it all, God brought me through. I had to stop sometimes and ask my God for direction. Fast and pray and thank God for protection. Through the storm and rain, heartaches and pain, heartaches and pain, heartaches and pain. I cried all night long. I cried all night long. Oh, yes, I made it. Oh, yes, I made it. I talked to God about it. I talked to God about it. I got down on my knees and I talked to God about it. Oh, yes, I made it. Oh, yes, we made it. Through it all, God brought me
Yes, we did. We made it. Let me acknowledge that awkward transition from the last time. At the 9 o'clock, we had the pleasure and honor of having State Superintendent of Public Education, Tony Thurmond, here with us, who gave a wonderful talk. And as you know, he is responsible for the largest public school system in the nation with nearly 6 million students and over 10,000 schools. Tony had to leave because he is here today supporting the teachers in Oakland Unified School District in their strike. So he sends his regrets, but I encourage you to go back and look at the 9 o'clock service because the message that he left with us was really powerful. And also, if you could just please raise your hands and send out positive energy, love, and support, that a deal can be made so that teachers, students, and families can get what they need in safety, solidarity, and actual education and mental health support. Amen. So, I also want to acknowledge everything that's going on around us, because we have been uplifted with some wonderful music from the Glide Ensemble, led by Zoe Ellis and the Change Band. And who we have with us are Glenn Howell on bass, Eddie Hall on drums, Eamon Flynn on keyboard, Gerald Berman, who is a musical director, and our trombonist, Bill Ortiz, is on trumpet, Doug Rowan on saxophone, and then we also have Dave Schull on guitar. And this amazing choir is under the direction of Zoe Ellis, and our beloved Vernon Bush is on sabbatical right now, so we're also sending love and light his way. And the name that you've heard many times today in our AV crew is LB Johnson, who does that work in conjunction and support with Aaron Eston and Mark Montgomery French. And let us not forget our ushers and ambassadors. We have Martin Soto, we have Linda Mantel, Holly Combs, Grover Lee Woods, and Adrian Napolitano. And then we could not be feeling safe in this space without the Glide safety team. So we want to acknowledge Derek, Mike, Charles, John Ivan, and Anthony. I'm going to be giving you some announcements soon, but Larry Baez is back there on the table, so he has all of the detailed information. And then we also have Martin Soto and Brenda on the Glide store. And for those of you who are visiting, who are looking for merch and swag, we have it for you. We have t-shirts, mugs, poems by Janice, and stories by Cecil, sweatshirts, music, and caps. Get your merch, get your merch, get your merch. That was lovely. All right. I can skip the gym now, right, Classy? All right. So we also want to acknowledge our guests in the house, whether that's you out there in YouTube or Facebook. We want to acknowledge all of our regular members who are there. Go ahead and drop some love in the chat. We also want to welcome any teachers who are joining us from afar. And then we also want to say hello to all of the folks who are here with us today. Thank you for getting up to come and celebrate with us. We got Colombia in the house. We have London, France. And then I think I also heard that Copenhagen was in the house. So welcome, all of you. We also have some birthdays happening this Sunday. If you are having a birthday today, go ahead and put that in the chat so we can send you some birthday love. But we're celebrating Napata Mero, Lucky Allen, Nicole Bergeron, and Brenda Salgado today. Wow. Happy birthday.
I was unaware that Nicole, who was clearly hiding the birthday, that we have a choir member with a birthday. Happy birthday, you said it.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nicole. Happy birthday to you. This is your birthday song. It is your birthday song. Woo!
All right. Okay, so now it's time for your announcements. Today from 2 to 4, we are screening The Abortion Talks. Didn't think you were going to see that at church, huh? It's a documentary film featuring the story of 6 women on opposing sides of the abortion debate in Boston who met together in secret dialogues for 6 years after the 1994 Brookline Clinic murders. This screening is being done in conjunction with the Civic Health Project as a co-host, and we also will have some featured speakers, which include Marvin K. White, and also Joshua Saby, Sarah Perkins, who are the directors, and you, if you choose to attend.
I just want to say the film is really super important in this climate today because it actually shows what happens when you give people tools to be able to talk to each other. And I can't think of a better place than Glide that is such a hotbed of so many different topics in the world that we actually do need tools so we can sit down at the same table, not change minds, but just to be able to have the conversations that might just transform the landscape. So please come to this filming and this screening this afternoon and get some of these tools so we can really do this work of changing the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Who knows what next Sunday is? Oh, come on. I know you got more love for the mothers than that. What is next Sunday? I will be celebrating Alice. And Mother's Day celebration, you are invited to send in pictures of your mother if you would like to have them screened here, or the mother figures in your life, so that we can celebrate everyone on this great day. You can email your photos to Megan Rohrer, and that's silent H. You can get the official email back there. It's MROHRER@glad.org. Now, on the 21st, there are some other things happening. We will be celebrating AAPI Heritage Month, and there will be a special guest speaker that day, Reverend Adam Taylor, who is the president of the Sojourners Magazine and the author of A More Perfect Union, a new vision for building the beloved community. And then also that Sunday will be Beta Breakers, so make your plans accordingly. And we give you all the love if you are planning to run, walk, slide, skate, whatever you're going to do. If you're participating in Beta Breakers, we are here to support you. So make sure you have your travel plans. And lastly, we have the Glide Pride Team Cake Auction. That's going to happen on June 11th, and we know that June is Pride Month. And bring your coins because I did give Julius a new bundt cake pan. So I don't know where the cakes are coming from, but Julius got the fire in the kitchen. Oh, and there is one more thing. On May 28th, I'm going to back it up, Marvin will be preaching the Pentecost Sunday, so you don't want to miss that either. And that is your announcement. Also, as I said, you can go back and watch the 9 o'clock service if you wanted to see Tony Thurman speak. But we have a special producer who is Tom Butler, who also is a member of the Glide Racial Justice Group and a member of Glide Reads. And I want to give a shout out because he's the one who puts together our podcast. And he has tiny celebrations. So if you even want to listen to just that snippet of Tony, Tom has you. So look for it at Glide Memorial Church, wherever you get your podcast. All right, so this is the part where I do a little turn. And I'd like to bring you your Glide witness for today. I wear multiple hats here, and my story in giving it to you is to give an inspiration that shows you that somehow some of the things that you might be going through, other people have also experienced these same things, so you can walk in solidarity with these sacred stories. So in my story, I was born to Alice and Alvin, who were educated and who believed deeply in education, and made sure that we had everything that we needed. And my first experience was with my godmother, who was also my preschool teacher, Miss Ella. And she made sure that she pushed me to the forefront and gave me that confidence that I needed as a learner. And then we fast forward, and I go to St. Peter's Academy in Dallas, Texas, with the Sisters of the Holy Ghost under Sister Teresa Nash. And in that school, all black, and eventually as I got older, the Latinx population started to move in as well. And these white women just poured into us. They saw us individually. It was the first time I had been exposed to culturally responsive teaching. And In that, they saw me and said, you need to go to Ursuline Academy. Ursuline Academy, other side of town, had to get up crack of dawn, catch 3 buses to get there. And I was one of 17 black girls at that school. It's all girls. And I was doing well until I got to 10th grade and I had to take geometry with Miss P. I'm going to call her that. And I just didn't get proofs. I didn't get any of it. Nobody was really telling me how this mattered in my everyday life. And one day, I got up at the chalkboard, and I couldn't get through the proof. And she said, you're just a stupid black girl. And I looked around the class at my classmates, and they just put their heads down. Nobody said anything. And I was just defeated at that point. But because everybody else poured into me, and Miss Fitzgerald taught me how to diagram the mess out of a sentence, okay? And I knew that I wasn't great at math, but I had other gifts, and you get out of my way. Needless to say, I failed French, and I was on scholarship, so they kicked me out of school. But my mother took me down. My mother knows everybody. She made some phone calls, and she took me down to the High School for the Health Professions, and she got me a space in that school. Now, where I was failed again was that when I was at the private school, all the classes I took were on the level that my freshman, sophomore classes were the same as what the juniors and seniors were taking. So instead of saying, let's put her in honors classes, the brilliance of public education was, oh, she needs to finish the curriculum, so go back and take the freshman and sophomore classes. So instead of pouring into me, they let me skate, they let me coast, and I was happy to do so. That meant that I could read what I wanted to read, do what I wanted to do. I stayed on the honor roll. I did my thing. And in that, though, the blessing was that I became the queen of the freshmen and sophomores. I became what I call the leader of the island of misfit toys. So all the kids saw in me somebody who could listen when they were being abused at home, when they couldn't come out, when they were LGBTQ. I had these people just all around me, and I nurtured them, and they nurtured me, and we got through high school together. Then I wanted to go away to college, and my parents said, there's too many of us. We were 5 kids, and then extended family. Anybody in our house who wanted to go to school, my parents figured out how to make that work. And they said, you have to go locally. I was supposed to go to Texas Southern. And then I said, that's not what I want to do. And so I said, well, if I have to pay for it myself, I'll go to the military. So I go to the military, Army Reserve. I was a cook. And go through that process. And then when I came back home, I told my mom a week before school started, I wanted to go to Florida A&M University. Go Rattlers! And when I got there, to be at a historically black university, all my teachers looked like me, all my students looked like me for the most part, and everybody poured into me. I remember going up to the president of the university, and I said, hello, my name is Paula Farmer. I want you to remember me. And the 8 years that I was at that school, every time I saw President Humphreys, he said, hello, Ms. Farmer. That's at a school with 10,000 plus students. And I graduated from there. And during that time, my mantra was, you end up where you're supposed to be. And I went to a college fair to get my master's. And I visited all the tables I wanted to see. And this one white man was standing there. And he said, come over here. And I said, no, I'm not going to Washington State. And he said, come here. And I said, nope. And he showed me these really sad pictures of these wheat fields and white people. And I was like, sir. And then I missed the deadline for one of the schools I wanted to go to. And that one was there. I filled it out. I got in. Got into another school that I really wanted to go to. But the woman who was at that school decided to go on a safari of all things during the time where they were announcing scholarships. And he called and he said, you want this or not? I said, I'm coming. Sight unseen. Went there, didn't know anybody. I stayed with them at their house. They hosted me until I found a place to live. And I graduated. I found my people there. I found all the other students who he had actively recruited from other historically black colleges. So we would have a cohort of people to be around in that space. And fast forward, I get out of school and I end up here in San Francisco many years later. And I was working at the San Francisco Art Institute in education. And I was the director of admission there. And get to there and realize I'm not fully prepared for the position I had been hired for. And I went to my boss and I said, I need Jesus. And he said, I don't know if you're going to find Jesus there, but you need to get down to Glide. And I have been at Glide ever since. And I say all that to say, don't let the obstacles that people put in front of you determine who you are and how you move through life. Find the people who can help and support and pour into you, and then return that favor and pour into somebody else. So as a result, eventually you will be talking to Dr. Sister Farmer. I will get my PhD. I'm manifesting that. I don't know when, but there are people who are 100 years old getting degrees, so stay with me. I am Paula Farmer, and I am Glide. Thank you. Okay, so announcements can be found in the back, but then in the back of your pew, you will also find an offering card, and this is a time for our giving. And I want to welcome you to give from your heart, and you can give today in the basket, but we also have this card in the back of your pew that will allow you to be a sustaining donor. And you can set it and forget it, which is what I do. And you can do a one-time gift or multiple gifts. You can also use the QR code if you want to give online. And then the other thing that will be happening here is that there's dip jars. So if you want to, if you only have your credit card, you don't have any cash or checks, then you can come and there's a $25. You can just put your card in there, or $100 on this side with Classy. So we're going to invite you to do that, but at the same time, we're going to multitask. So I'm going to invite Marvin over to tell you a little bit about the blessings.
Great. As you be generous with your giving, we also want to take a moment to bless the teachers in the room today. So we have some glitter blessing balm that we are going to dispense, and we really want to recognize the work of the head, the heart, the feet, and the hands of teachers. So we're going to be stationed, Allison on this side, me on this side, and we just want to bless the hands of the teachers, and we are all teachers. So as you come forward to give online or in person, please stop by and see Allison or myself for a blessing of glitter balm. Oh.
What is it?
Sorry. And so this is the blessing. May this glitter be a source of inspiration and imagination for you and your students. May it bring color and sparkle to your classroom, and may it create a sense of wonder and joy that lasts long after the school day is over. May it never get stuck in your hair or clothes, but always land like a perfectly crafted lesson plan. May it ignite your students' imagination and enhance their learning experience as you guide them through the wonders of education. May it never cause a distraction, but rather serve as a tool for engagement and creativity. And may the joy and excitement that this glitter brings to your classroom be a testament of the magic of teaching. So come forward, teachers, and be blessed in the glitter flow.
We open it up for the offering that will be conducted while the Glide Ensemble brings you a number.
I want Jesus to walk with me all along my pilgrim journey. I want Jesus to walk with me. Oh, yes, I do. I want Jesus to walk with me. Yes, I do. In my trials, Lord, walk with me. In my trials, Lord, walk with me. When my head is bowed in sorrow, I want Jesus to walk with me. When I'm in trouble, Lord, walk with me. When I'm in trouble, Lord, walk with me. When my heart is almost breaking, I want Jesus to walk with me. Lord, when my spirit is seeking God, Lord, when my spirit is seeking God, and my feet won't let me go, I want Jesus to walk with me. Lord, when you come and you touch my soul,
was Dennis Hersey, everybody. We want to thank you all for being with us here today. A very special thanks to Allison Park, our guest preacher, speaker, and teacher today. And please, thank you to Paula Farmer for coordinating this Sunday celebration, the Change Band, the Glide Ensemble, and you all for being the teachers in this world that the students need today. Please stop by the table in the back if you're a teacher and get a free gift as well. And my name is Marvin K. White. I'm your Minister of Celebration. And the Glide Ensemble is going to sing us out, and we'll see you next week. Hey! At 2 o'clock today, come to the screening. Go grab a quick bite and come back. It's going to be... What's that? Yeah, we said that earlier. Yeah, but the filmmakers are here, and they'll be here until 2. You can holler at them. Why don't you come downstairs to Freedom Hall, and we'll talk with the filmmakers and the organizers of the event. We'll see you next week.